let's talk about some fucking power rankings. I've tried to do the intro like 6 times. I'm just going to go with it. I've just got off ELF Live. Go and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description for the whole show. Me and Nick chopping it up. As per usual, a great show with, I imagine, a lot of people coming back and forth from the two of them. So go and check that out. Some hot takes. Some where we were right and sometimes where we were wrong. The ELF MVP for the week and Glenn's record breaking year. Everything. We covered everything. We broke down every game. Talked about all the different team situations. So if you want to go watch that, leave that in the description. But today we're going to look at power rankings, and I've went a little bit. Some of them I think will ruffle a few feathers. So let's just dive straight in. So at 16, we've still got Prague. They didn't play, so no need to really move a team that didn't play, and we'll keep it brief as well. Barcelona are in exactly the same boat. They didn't play either, so we don't need to move them. They remain where they are. Now, who did play was Milan, and Milan did poorly. Milan lost the Enthroners. It was let's go with comfortable. It was comfortable for the Enthroners. They never really looked in danger. They allowed Milan to come in a little bit at the end, but I don't think they really I think they took the foot off the gas. It was a good game. Enthroners came out on top with quite a close score of 27-17, but I think it was not entirely reflective of the game. Jack Mangle played lights out. He went 282 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a fumble on the goal line, but still ultimately played well. Torth, both of them, played well. Robitaille played well. Sirok played well. Their whole defense played pretty good until the last, maybe the fourth quarter, you could argue. Both teams inefficient on third down. I talked about this on the ELF Live. 1 of 11 and 1 of 12, respectively. It ain't good enough. It's not a good. They've both got to improve, but Milan have just fucking fallen off in the last couple of games. They are looking very poor. Brokenhurst has not done great. Their run game isn't cooking with Jock. Jock's a good running back, but he's nearly 40. I don't mean to be harsh, but a couple plays at the end has made the stats look a little bit more generous than what they are for that team, but they look really, really rough at the moment. Zach Blair's doing what he can, but he can't just do it all on his own. At 14, Helvetic. They fall down 1. Carl Aiken picked up an injury. AF Brianti fucking Brown played well while he could, but ultimately they lose 55-23 to Munich. Tough game. It was Munich. It's a really good team. Then again though, they put up 23 points, which was not easy. Spiller had a great game again. One of the leading players for Rookie of the Year. He's got 165 yards in this game and another touchdown. He's been spectacular. Of course, the massive thing here is the quarterback issue. Carlton Aiken is a good quarterback. He just got injured. You can't really, you're very rarely going to see a game where a team really comes out of much with an injury. But I did just want to look at Spiller's stats real quick. He has 704 yards and 4 touchdowns in his first 8 games in the ELF. That's incredible. And granted, he drops a couple of balls. I will do a full length video essay on Spiller after I do Noah Torre, no doubt, because he's been one of the stars of the league. He should be super proud of his performance. AFB should be super proud of his performance. And they only moved down 1, but they showed a lot of heart, and I like that. 13, the Enthroners. We just talked about the Enthroners and how well they did, and I talked a little bit too much about the Enthroners compared to how much I talked about Milan. But they were the better team, and Milan really didn't show much. Mangold played well, as I said. Sirok played well. Toth played well, both of them, and their defense kind of locked up. Robitaille played well. Rodon and Enrique played well. They have a good improvement, and I like that. They've showed improvement. They've stuck with Mangle, and this was something we talked about in the ELF Live, about sticking with the development and just riding it through. There's going to be rough times, and just keeping faith in a player. I think faith is just such a big thing to put in a fucking player. I believe in you to get us to where we were not last year. Huge for them. Shout out, I'm blanking on the name of the person that sent me the message. I need to respond to them. They explained why Jack Mangle did bad in his senior year in college, and they've explained, and they said this happened, and Mangle's been one of the better quarterbacks this year, factually, which is not something I would have predicted personally. So I appreciate him for making me learn. Honestly, it's been a learning experience watching him actually do pretty good. So they've done well. Praise for him, absolutely. Praise for the defense minus the fourth quarter. they did very well, and they're at 13. They rose up 2 places. At 12, we have Frankfurt, who were shit. They were really bad. They got absolutely railed against the Rhine Fire. 48-13 was never really very close. Like, it was close. It was close in the first half. Like, it was still a very, like, it was a 1-point game at halftime. And then they just got ruined. Like, utterly ruined. Destroyed, even. Like, they did very badly. It was a 1-point game at half, and they let it go. 27 points in the third quarter for Rhine Fire. Like, 48 in total. Like, they can't win a game with that. McKay was average, didn't really produce as much as he should have in these kind of games. Sandro, just over 1 yard a carry is not good enough. The offensive line didn't hold up. Receivers, none of them got over 50 yards. Defensively, they did what they could, but they allowed so many big plays. Jadrian was torching them over the top. The secondary got fucking shredded. They were worried about Glenn, respect like fair. And then they disrespected Jadrian's arm, which you should never do because Jadrian has the best deep ball in the league. And instead of stopping one, they let both happen. So they didn't have a very good game. And they got beaten pretty badly, and their playoff hopes are gone. This has been a bad year for them. Like, really bad year. Expected them to be bad. I expected them to be championship contenders, but I expect them to be better than this. Number 11, another team we expected to be better, is Wrocław. Number 11, Wrocław Panthers, destroyed by Surge within 3 quarters. They called off the game at the third quarter. My eyes threw 3 picks. Not very much you can do. That whole team is just in disarray, like, in terms of what they do from here. I don't know. But Hamburg come in next at number 10. They lost as well. They raise 1 point, which is a bit different. They lost 25. You know what? Do Cologne as well. So Cologne at 9, Hamburg at 10. We'll talk about it at the same time. Cologne, I picked them to win, and I was right. Legalize it, baby. He was so good. Sayer Weed was so good. I'm so much on the train. Like, I was doubtful, and he didn't have. He's not had a great statistical year, but this last few weeks, he has just been fun. Isaiah Weed is fun. Like, he's a fun quarterback to watch at the moment. Because he does take some risks that maybe he shouldn't have, but he's also a very good runner. Like, we've seen that. Jared Alman didn't have the best game on the ground, but Fulford had a really bad game. 3 interceptions, only 72 yards. Really struggled to get his receivers involved. Justice came in as debut, and I want to talk about fucking Bijan Harris. I need to do a video on Bijan Harris. I really do. When he gets a little bit more tape, I'm going to do him as, like, the fucking player that came into the league and torched them. 2 interceptions. Fulford shouldn't have looked at him. I said in the preview, do not look at Harris. He's called Poison. I've nicknamed him. I nicknamed AFB. That was mine. Alex has a MVP. He can have that. I'm taking Poison Harris. That's such a cold nickname. So Bijan Poison Harris. You touch him, you die. Don't go near him. Leave him alone. They didn't. He got 2 picks and is most likely going to win Defensive Player of the Week. Or, MVP of the week. Hamburg just couldn't get anything going. Even on the ground, like, they had stats on the ground. Harding Cadillo went for 89 yards, but only on 8 attempts. Most of that came with that big run. They were bad on third down efficiency, 2 for 10, which isn't great. They struggled with completion. I don't know why they shouldn't have got rid of Javarian Smith. I'm going to be honest, they shouldn't have got rid of Javarian Smith. He was doing fine. Like, granted, he wasn't the best quarterback in the league, but he's better than Fulford, in my opinion. The Jarvis injury is unfortunate. Can't help that. Bright Sparks, though, was definitely straighter. He played out of his fucking mind. He's one of the players that goes for a Defensive Player of the Week as well. Like, he got 15 tackles. You got to look as well. Like, 15 tackles sounds amazing, and it is. But when you look at the situations where he got those 15 tackles, bursting through the line on, like, key third downs and stuff like that was incredibly impressive. And Strater deserves a lot of credit for that. And number 8, breaking into the top 8. We have the Berlin Thunder. Now, they did get absolutely railed against someone we'll talk about in a minute with Vienna. They have got a lot of injuries at the receiver position. I talked to someone within the organisation who I know a little bit, and they were saying, we've got injuries at quite a lot of key positions. So I do feel for them in that regard. Sullivan didn't have the best of games, kind of played fine. Run game is struggled for Berlin forever. Aaron Jackson was great, but without Bias, without Robin, both dealing with injuries is incredibly, incredibly unfortunate. I have 2 such amazing weapons out injured is a shame. So they fall 1. Like, I think some people will think Berlin and Cologne the other way around, and I did go back and forth with that. Berlin have got more impressive wins, and Berlin could have won more games if they didn't throw away second halves, and the first half, you count Paris. But, like, I think it's a close game, but I do still think Berlin are better than Cologne. I think it would be a really interesting matchup. I'd like to see it. But currently, we have Berlin at 8. Number 7, Munich Ravens. They won a game. They beat up on a bad team, which I don't usually reward, but they move up one. They showed they have a good defense in previous weeks, and this week wasn't the greatest. They think it's to the fault of the gas, but they still got a very fundamental win. Tomo Iwewe was fantastic. Chad Jeffries was fantastic. Like, they did what they needed to do. Vyoma, the defensive lineman from New Zealand, I said he was going to be really good in the preview, and he was. He was fantastic again. Such a good player, like massively underrated. Gotta appreciate Kentrell and just that organization for bringing him to the league, because he's been amazing. He's such an underrated player. At number 6, the Raiders Tyrrell. Didn't play, so have remained where they are. Munich didn't do enough to go over them. I still probably favour Tyrrell in this one. It's a close one between Munich and Tyrrell, though. It really is, but I'm just favouring them a little bit. They didn't play. I think I was telling you left live up for Munich, but that was just recently, and now I've had a time to think about it. I think I probably would still go for Tyrrell. At number 5, Madrid. They lost, but they lost to a really good Paris team, and they weren't as competitive as I thought they would be, and that was the thing I was wrong on the show about. I thought they'd be a little bit more in it. But, like, Paris weren't completely safe in this game. Like, this was a really close game. Obi didn't get as much production as I thought he would. Willie Patterson was fantastic. The defense allowed not much, but that block punt, as Alfieri said, that block punt, the fumble on offense that led to the touchdown by Dawson Dells. You remove both of those, and it's like a 1-point, 2-point game. Like, it's close. It is a lot closer than that scoreline projects. That scoreline was not entirely reflective. I streamed the whole game on my YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch all of that. Some people actually do go back and watch parts of it, so I appreciate everyone who does that. I actually had to end the stream yesterday a little bit early. I was struggling with a lot of back pain, but I'll get into that in the outro. So, they remain at 5. Stuttgart at 4. Hear me out. Stuttgart at 4, but this is a tough one because it's a very tough one, and I'll go back and forth with this with people in the comments, and I'm sure. But they beat up on a really bad Wroclaw team, which is fair enough, and they're in no danger of dropping out of that top 4. Don't get me wrong, but they beat up on a bad team. I don't usually reward it. They look fantastic. Geyer as well, making one step closer. If it wasn't for Horn getting a touchdown, he would be tied up, but he remains just one behind Reece Horn in his career touchdowns that you left, so that's pretty cool. But it was kind of a slow burn. They dominated really easily. Riley was fantastic. The running game didn't really need to get started because they were just so dominant in the air. Defensively, they just fucked them up. That defense is so good. Obviously, I did the Chad video. Go and check that out on the channel. I'll leave it linked in the description. They got Malumbo, who's one of the best interior guys. They've got Mitch Fetting, who's one of my favourite DBs in the league. They've got like such an incredible defense. I mean, I've already talked about this too. Like, they are amazing. So just because they're top 4 does not mean that they're like a bad team. People are going to think it's disrespectful. It's just off of momentum. That's why we have Vienna at 3. And I'm sure people would have expected a certain Paris team, but we have Vienna at 3. Now, Vienna again looked dominant, and they go above Surge because they beat a more competitive team than the Surge did. Surge beat up on a bad team. Vienna had a more comfortable win against a better team. Because Berlin are dangerous. Do not, like, just because Berlin have a negative record, do not think they're not dangerous for a second. They can kill teams very easily. They've just had a very tough schedule. But Berlin were in this game. Like, it was relatively good. It was like 10, 11 points in it until the 4th. And then Vienna just kind of got away with it. 10 points to the end. And like, the last, like, 17 minutes, 18 minutes for all Vienna. And that's when they really pulled away. Ben Holmes was great. Looked fantastic. Didn't really put foot wrong, to be honest. Nora Torre has some of the best hands in the league, and I will have that video out hopefully soon of him. Kerry was got on the ground. Reece Horn was fantastic again. Beerbaum was back and looks great. Like, he's such a fucking weapon. It's actually unfair, like, how good he is sometimes when he gets on the field and he's fully healthy. So they move up 1 after a big win. Staying at number 2 is Paris. Now hear me out again. Do I think Paris beat Vienna in the Surge? Possibly. Possibly. But as I explained with Vienna and the Surge a second ago, Paris beat up on a better team. They beat a 5-1 Madrid Bravos team. Very impressive. Like, they showed special teams. They showed defense. They showed offense. They showed all 3 phases of the game, that they scored on all 3 phases of the game, which is not something that many teams can do. So I thought that was incredibly impressive. That's one of the big things I took away from this is, did they dominate? Not really. But did they prove they can score in all 3 phases of the game? They have a diverse offense with Valumbo coming in and getting 161 yards as a backup running back. They have Sal led the team and Tekedan was second. Austin Mitchell got involved. So they didn't have LaRose catch a ball. They didn't have Anthony Mohonu on at all. We had Remy Bertolon who got 6 yards, and last game he got like fucking 90. Just proves the diversity within this team. Defensively they're fantastic. I've talked about them a bunch. And Degan Gomez was great again in coverage. I just want to say that, and I'll leave that link in the description too with the player eval for him. But they looked good, and I think there's a lot you can take out of that win against Madrid. At number 1, we have the Rhine Fire still. A fucking dominant win. Granted, not against the best competition. But Glenn, congratulations to you. If you're watching this, fucking well done, man. Like, single season rushing touchdown record is incredibly impressive, and you've still got a ton of games to do it. No fumbles. I want to put that. Like, that was a first year thing. Like in the early Hamburg days, he fumbled the ball a lot. This year, fucking ironclad with that fucking thing. So he's been amazing. 4 touchdowns for him and 100 yards, below average technically for him, which is incredible. Jadrian was just tearing up Frankfurt deep, like laser beams. Haaland is back, and he, as I said in the live, is the key to this offense. Haaland is a fucking monster. One of the best general receivers in the league, and it's not even like him. Geyer, you could argue Geyer is maybe a better pure wide receiver. Haaland is a better balanced receiver who can do more on the field, I think, than Geyer. So you could honestly argue that Haaland is the best. 83 yards for him in the air. He also had a long jet sweep for about 30. Well, not really a jet sweep, kind of motioned out and then took the handoff directly, but a fun play. Dominant win. Defensively is outstanding. I could talk about, like, I just put Cagles up for the defensive player of the week. 3 sacks for him, a ton of hurries and pressures, and stop with the run game, which doesn't get put in the stats, but he was everywhere. For more, Zimon was great. Tony Anderson got a touchdown. Franklin's been one of the best players to come into the league late. Amari Williams is Mario Williams. Aaron Donker was great. Marcus Parkinson got his first sack. Venke's been an underrated part of this defense. Kenzie has always been good. Like, they've got such a stacked team, and Ryan Fire probably one of my favourites. They are in tremendous form, and not really much can stop them, I think. So that'll round out everything. Let's go for quick fire. So 17, Prague didn't play. 16, Barcelona didn't play. 15, Milan. Fucked a game that they probably should have won and didn't really look very competitive during it. 14, Helvetic. They lost a quarterback, kind of hard to overcome that. 13 for Hervar. Good win, dominant, clean, easy until the 4th quarter. Made it a little bit more difficult, but looked pretty comfortable doing it. 12, Frankfurt. Imagine Frankfurt and the Endroners being one fucking thing away. Insane. Didn't look good at all. Got beaten in all 3 stages of the game. Wroclaw, bye week. Hamburg, lost in a close kind of game. It wasn't really that close. Like, they got beaten pretty easily and then kind of made a bit of a comeback in the 4th, but too little too late. Cologne ran all over them. Legalized it, baby. Berlin, dealing with injuries, were competitive until the last 18-20 minutes and then just kind of let it slip. Munich, beat up on a bad team. Looked fine while doing it, but maybe give up a little bit too many points for me to put them above Tyrrell, who didn't play and were on a bye week and were at 6. Madrid, close, they were close, but they just, I think, maybe lacked the experience that some of the Parisian players have, but not as much depth and talent, I think, than the Paris team. Surge at 4, like, they did very well against a bad team, didn't play the 4th, and this kind of the same thing. They've been beaten up on these bad teams. Vienna also beat up on a bad team. kind of like Brendan are really, really riddled with injuries at the moment, as I've said, but Vienna looked very comfortable in all 3 stages of the game as well. Like, they didn't really ever look in too much trouble. They pulled away in the 4th, and not like massively convincing, but not also. I felt comfortable that they were going to win this one. Paris at 2 proves they can play all 3 plays. They can make plays when they need to. They won the momentum swings. When they win the momentum swings, they're at 2 or at number 1. When they lose them, they're at 4 or 5. Like, that's kind of see how it goes with Paris at the moment. Number 1, Ryan Fire. Dominant win. From start to finish, really. Like, it was kind of close at the beginning, and then really not as soon as it became into the 4th quarter. And that will do us there. Thank you for tuning in. As I alluded to earlier, I had to end the stream a little bit early. There was like no one there anyway, because it was just a game that wasn't like particularly hyped up, even though it was a good game. But, like, I have had like my back issues have been fucking plaguing me the last couple of weeks. I have to spend like an hour a day just reclined, so call a doctor maybe would be a good idea, but who has time to do that when I've got tape to watch? So we'll see just how that does, but I should be fine within a couple of days. Hopefully just kind of inflammation lower back, hopefully it just kind of calms down, but we'll see how that goes. Links in the description for all the players I talked about, and also for ELF Live. What else is happening? Torre video, started the intro, hadn't had time to do the rest of it, to be honest, and we have obviously hope that will come out this week, and tomorrow we have how teams are going to come into week 10. Week 10 already. Like, there's some good games. There's mostly blowouts, but there's a couple of nice games that I'll be streaming, including Rand vs Paris 2, which will be very revealing, I think. And Torre video, Spiller after that, Milan Spiller after Torre, just so I can have those 2. So I'll probably do them as like, I'll probably milk content a little bit. I'll get Torre, I'll do Spiller, and I'll release them as like a joint episode probably at some point as well, just to try and get a little bit more views on the channel, you know how it is. But that'll do it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Pleasure as always. I got some iced coffee here. It's not Bailey's. Kind of looks like Bailey's though. And it's been a pleasure as always to talk to the community, engage with coaches. We've had more people influx of the channel, more people get involved with the comment section, more people liking the video. Liking the video also does massively help if you don't know, like it does boost out to more people to see this content, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do, spread the love of European ball. It's a great game, we've seen that, like how amazing that this season has been. So that'll do me here. Thank you very much for tuning in. Did this in fucking one take, let's get it, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the breakdowns. Have a nice day, stay sharp, goodbye.